expected. The answer is no. I already know you're just like the others. They came before you, they look just like you do. Let me guess, you on the runaway. It's just a bad dream, can't be as it seems. It's all according to plan. The grinding of gears, the echoing screams that will forever haunt your dreams. Once the blade is sunk in deep and sends you off to sleep. Oh, the colors give me life, beauty that only destruction can bring. Say goodbye to life, now showing through what is left of you. Colors fading from your broken wings. I see your body shaking, you wanna be free, but don't you see? You're too late. There's zero chance of escape. All of this wretched machinery will be your last glimpse of scenery. Hush now, quiet now, don't you cry. Just kiss the world goodbye. Oh, the colors give me life, beauty that only destruction can bring. Say goodbye to life, now shine through what is left of you. The colors fading from your broken wings. All the colors give me life, beauty that only destruction can bring. Say goodbye to life, now shine through what is left of you. Colors bleeding from your broken wings.
Woo! Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another Winchester Wednesdays. I am your host, Winchester 572, and that was a new release by Koa, which was really good. I really enjoyed it. But yes, I don't have anybody special in the studio today, so it's just me by myself. And yeah, we shall get back to our regularly scheduled programming. And boy, I was like really far away from the mic. Weird. So anyways, without further ado, I need to change who's in the call a bit because there's some people that are in the call and some people that aren't there. Alrighty. And with that, let us get into the call. Hello, call.
I've only got one response to that. There you go.
I don't know if these are balls or crotch tits. I just can't tell.
Jesus Christ, can we not keep this stream clean for 30 seconds? Good God.
No.
No.
Oh, I
This is
just
not
noticed
a
it.
kid's thing.
CMC fucking clipped his shit.
Wait, I see it. I see it.
Anyways, let us start in with introductions because we have a lot of people to introduce here. So starting off, we have my lovely co-host, Crazy Matt Captain and Sky Rays.
There may be fires just everywhere.
It's Australia all over again.
All right, and normally I'd
perfectly
introduce
fine.
other people, but because we had such an awesome segue, we're going to do Lycan next.
Oh, I'm liking that.
Ah,
Just like he's liking these beats on a network at a time, which I don't know.
he's about to be liking these nuts.
Got him!
Do we need to
Alrighty.
put Skyrays in a shame corner?
Yes. And next on to Double R Forest.
So yeah, I just found out that everyone gets a stimulus check. I thought it was something you have to sign up for, but like, I mean, I don't have it. I didn't get it today.
If
so
you
I
filled
don't
out your
know.
2018 or 2019 tax forms, you'll automatically get a stimulus check.
Yeah, I didn't do I didn't do last year's taxes.
As long as you're under $75,000 of gross adjusted income, which I think everyone in this call is below that.
Oh,
Yeah.
If you're above that, you probably have no need to hang out with plebs like us.
Here's what I find funny. My dad makes like $150,000, but he still got a stimulus check.
Well, yeah, it's gross
A
adjusted
lot of
income.
people were getting that.
He
I
got
remember seeing a headline.
$1,600.
Hate the player, not the game.
I saw an article today about someone showing they got a stimulus check of like over $1 million.
It was an
Oh.
8 mil.
Oh yeah, I
and
heard about that.
I'm down for that.
Instead of 1,200, it was 12 mil.
Oh yeah. Let me check my bank account. I want to see 12 million in
I
my
thought it
bank account.
I thought it was 8 mil.
And
was a
checking,
lot of
and
money.
while she checks her bank account, we have Forrest Rain.
Hi. My PIN for USAA is no, I don't want to update. Anyway. Hi. Did you play the song from Koa?
Yes, I did. It was
All
very
right,
good.
I'm the one that recommended the song from Koa because she just released her new album, which is friggin' cool, and she's an awesomely nice lady, and you should go
And
support her.
confirmed, Koa is awesome.
Yes.
Can confirm.
She is fun, and the same age as I am.
Oh,
Yes.
too bad she's dating Mumble.
Married.
Too bad she's married Bumble.
Weren't Cohen Mumble like Winnie City like last year or 2 years ago?
Something
Can
like
confirm
that.
I got my stimulus check, but it wasn't $12 million.
It was
Pretty
12.
massive.
It was $1,200, I bet.
Yep.
So, alrighty. And speaking of wanting stimulus checks, we have Ocean Breeze.
Yeah, mine hasn't arrived yet. But why do I also live in the most bipolar state in the U.S.?
What do you mean, fucking bipolar?
It was fucking 51 degrees today, and we're in a winter storm warning out here.
Oh, you mean the weather? Oh, yeah. That I completely
Midwest.
understand. I thought you meant other things going.
I mean, no.
I'm just like, we've been doing, like, we've been the least, like, changing our minds over the last few months.
Is this related to us possibly having snow tomorrow?
Yes, 6 inches they're calling for.
We had snow on Sunday morning, lots of it,
That
and it
wasn't a
it
fucking-
sucked.
I think
had
there's
to
a lot of
drive
people in this
through
call
that.
looking forward to 6 inches.
And
Nah, I'm more like a 7-inch, 8-inch kind of guy.
oh,
I have high expectations.
Forrest, Double R, I've got just lower your standards.
A man can dream.
Dude, bro,
okay?
darling.
I can dream.
so next.
Get it in silicone.
Oh God.
You're talking about breast implants. Come on, man.
Oh, you can get implant. Oh, can you?
Moving on.
Please move on.
I am trying my damnedest here, and because
Just
I don't
talk
want
over.
anything to be assumed, we'll do Skybolt next.
And you ain't never had a friend like me. Yeah.
You're right.
Boy, Aladdin really likes you.
Yeah, can I be Aladdin?
And,
You're all Aladdin tonight.
oh my. But I wanted to be Jasmine.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, who's the one that's currently got a friend like him?
Sora.
Wait, does that make that
Good segue.
Skyrace's Iago?
Hi.
Sora's so silent.
Hi, Sora.
I said hello. No, you people can hear me. Come on now. Hello. Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Sora, you're gonna have to give us your favorite flavor of pizza. Swear to
Fucking
God, if you
meat.
say
Just slab
Hawaiian.
all the meat on it. I love meat. Give me every type of meat.
I think that is
So, like,
the
8
exact
inches
same
worth,
thing that
or-
you messaged me when I
Yes.
ordered you that one pizza that one day.
Yes.
What
Oh
about
my- eat you?
what about an anchovy and pineapple pizza? That sounds awesome.
I will slap you with that pizza if you serve it to me.
Double R,
I'll
you're
just
coming
eat it.
closer and closer every day to just being locked in a back closet editing these fics and not being allowed on stream.
So basically, you're becoming me. Okay.
Yes.
But
Yes.
Double R's voice is so nice now.
And speaking of people who locks people in closets and makes them do things, we have Cinder.
Hi, I'm a monster.
Say
Get back to work, motherfucker.
Oh no, Cinder, you're not a monster. You're
I shall rebel!
Puppy says, "Try it, bitch."
I have more
Puppy's
shots
strapped.
than you. I have more shots, and each shot has more shots in one shot.
I can confirm that Cinder locked me in a closet and made me do my Chufundo lines first thing.
Well, I noticed that like the moment like things happen, like I just get a file and I'm just like, oh, okay, that was fast.
Yep, because I was locked in the closet.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a nice
I
closet.
haven't been able to get her out either.
So when did you get out the closet?
Still working on that one.
Okay.
Alrighty.
It's
So-
okay. Eventually, she'll manage it. She just needs to get better at picking locks.
Wait, she left her lockpick set here.
That's where that went.
Yeah.
Wow, that'd be really convenient
don't-
right now. wouldn't it?
Actually, on a serious note, remember how we tried to, or how you wanted to lockpick into my pickup? Yeah, I don't think those ever got back to you.
Nope, they never did.
Wonderful. So while we're
Okay.
talking about picking locks, how about we pick locks and pick them right into the story?
Nice try.
would suck.
I'm staring at pictures of pizza.
I'm staring at the pizza that I could be eating instead of doing this.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can eat pizza. You don't have a line for a little while, I think.
I should probably write them down because I don't know what the fuck I am.
I don't know about that. That image makes me want to like bite down on the pizza and like
And I can't scroll up like you plebs. I have to stay where I am.
Fair. Anyway, so we're going to continue on with Project Sunflower by Hoopy McGee. This week I will be narrating instead of Larsis like last week, which means I'll feel like I actually did something this week.
Woo!
Woo! So continuing on, tonight we have CMC reprising Aaron, Double R reprising Twilight Sparkle, and Lab Tech. Winchester will be playing Unicorn Guard number 1, as well as Malachite. Skybolt will be appearing for the first time since the first time as Pegasus Guard and Mina Sword and Husband.
Hell yeah.
Sora will be playing Applejack, Rarity, and Rainbow Dash. Skyrays will be playing Unicorn Guard number 2 and Hindi Soldier. Ocean Breeze will be playing Lyra again this week, Fluttershy, and Mina Sword and Wife. Cinder will be playing Princess Luna and Maggie. Lycan will be playing Pinkie Pie and Security Agent, and I will be playing nobody except for the narrator.
Hooray!
This is-
I'm typecast.
As Princess Luna and Maggie?
Well, I mean, mostly as the nerds and or German. I don't know why.
Anyway, so continuing on, this is me adjusting my microphone. Project Sunflower by Hoopy McGee. Chapter 22, Lost and Found. The second gateway hovered a mere 30 feet away from the building that housed the first one, creating an off-color window from the gardens of Canterlot Castle to a location a mere 5 miles away from the black tide on Earth. Erin stared at it impatiently, waiting for any news of her friends.
Does it always smell like that?
Erin jumped in surprise, turning to see a mint-green unicorn standing next to her. She sighed in exasperation. Of course, Lyra had found her again.
No, it only smells like that because the gate is so close to where we're fighting the tide.
Oh, that's good. I wanted to visit the Earth, but it wouldn't be fun if the whole place were that stinky.
Well, it's not.
Lyra seemed to get the hint that Erin wasn't in a talking mood. Either that or she just decided to stare at the humans in fascination once again. Erin wasn't at all happy about being left behind. The royal guards had gone through, along with Twilight and her other friends, as well as Celestia herself. However, she'd been told that she wasn't allowed to go along. It made sense, in that she wouldn't be able to help in any significant fashion, but it just bothered her that her friends were facing the premier threat to her own world, and she couldn't even stand by them. Erin glanced at a nearby sundial. It was hard to be exact, but if she had to guess, she'd say that the others had gone through almost an hour ago. She desperately wanted to get closer to the gate, but the guards gave a steely glare to anyone not walking on 2 legs. Any humans nearby were assumed to be actively working on the gate.
How do you think it's going?
I really couldn't say.
Do you think they will be okay?
She flinched at the question. The truth was, even after years of study, the tide still wasn't all that well understood. She honestly couldn't say if her friends would be all right or not. It was another reason she'd wanted to go through with them, rather than waiting behind. Knowing your friends could be in danger and you couldn't do anything to help was horrible. Not even being able to see if they were all right was so much worse.
I'm sure they'll be fine. They have the princesses with them, after all.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Lyra stared at the gateway for another minute, and then...
Say, what would I have to do to be able to see a human without any clothes on?
What?
Well, I mean, I kind of want to study them, but they're always so covered up. How do I get them out of their clothes?
Drinks would help.
What?
Nothing. Look, humans tend to have taboos about public nudity. Asking a human to let you see them naked, well, that probably won't go over too well. But once things settle down, I guarantee you I can help you find plenty of pictures of naked humans.
Once I get my internet access back, she thought.
Well, I don't want to just see them without clothes. I also want to find out more about their culture.
That's gonna be tricky. See, we don't just have one culture, we have hundreds or maybe even thousands.
Lyra stared at her, wide-eyed. She was about to ask another question when there was a sudden commotion at the gate.
Make way!
A Pegasus in captain's armor bellowed, shoving through the gateway from the Earth side. Royal guards came to attention as the human technicians scattered out of the way. A moment later, several more Pegasi guards came through, bearing a large white form on their back.
Oh no!
Erin stared at Princess Celestia's limp form in disbelief.
Make way, I said!
The first Pegasus slammed another royal guardsman to the side, and then addressed the guards carrying Celestia.
Bring the princess to her chambers.
He pointed a hoof at the guard he had shoved.
You, go and tell Princess Luna that her sister requires immediate attention, and will be in her quarters.
The other guard saluted, shooting off quickly. The Pegasi carrying Celestia moved gently, but swiftly, her weight distributed between them as they flew a foot off the ground. Erin watched them go, wide-eyed. She was vaguely aware of the buzz of conversations starting up behind her, confused and speculative from the humans, horrified and worried from the ponies. Next to her, Lyra was crying softly. Erin turned back to the gate, trotting forward in anxiety. She hadn't seen Twilight and the others come through yet, and her only thought was seeing if they were all right. The few remaining royal guards were too distracted to stop her before she had jumped through the gateway, startling the human soldiers on the other side. The human soldiers eyed her warily, but didn't try to interfere with her as she looked around for her friends. She stopped in stunned disbelief when she saw the tide. It was familiar, in a way. She'd seen it many times on the news, but being in the presence of it, it was so huge. She shook her head. She had more important things to worry about now. She started trotting down the slight hill, looking for her friends. She didn't have to look for long. Several trucks came roaring up the road towards the gateway. She stepped off the road as they passed her, kicking up a cloud of dust. She could make out the forms of several ponies in the back, so she turned and ran after them. More dust was kicked up in her face as the trucks pulled farther and farther ahead of her. The trucks stopped, and the ponies all jumped out. The unicorn and earth pony guards first, and then her friends. The guards quickly ran through to Equestria. She had just reached her friends as they approached the gateway.
Are you all okay? What happened?
Something powerful hit Celestia. We don't know what, but it knocked her clean out.
She came through a couple minutes ago. They took her to her chambers, and they're getting Luna to come and see her.
The ponies seemed extremely upset, and there was a grimness to most of them that was surprising, especially from Pinkie Pie. The exception was Fluttershy, who was racked with sobs as Rainbow Dash helped her get through the gate. Erin trotted up next to them, not sure of what to say, but wanting to do something to help comfort her friends. She got next to Twilight and glanced over. Her friend was scowling ahead of her, staring fixedly on the gateway a short distance ahead. Erin could see that she'd been crying, but right now, the unicorn just looked furious.
Twilight, I just wanted...
Don't even talk to me.
Erin stopped, staring at her in shock. Twilight stepped through the gateway as her friends did, then turned to look at Erin on the earth side of the gateway.
If you humans hadn't come here, then none of this would have happened. Celestia would have been fine right now instead of...
Twilight glanced away, choking back a sob. Her horns started glowing, a purple nimbus surrounding it. She looked back up at Erin, cold fury in her eyes.
I wish you'd never come here.
Then, wrapped in a purple glow, the emitters on either side of the gateway suddenly tore themselves out of their housing, sparking and crackling. The gateway blipped out of existence. Erin stood there, staring forward for a few minutes, mind reeling and feeling like she'd been punched in the gut. After a while, she realized she'd been crying and hadn't even noticed. She shook herself, physically and emotionally, and noticed the baffled soldiers standing next to the ruined harmonics emitters. She realized that she was stranded on Earth, in India, a few miles away from the black tide.
What did you just do?
Not now, Applejack.
What do you mean, not now? We gotta talk about.
I said not now!
Twilight's horn flared, and there was a brief moment of disorientation as she teleported herself to the hallways outside of Celestia's chambers. The unicorn guards reacted swiftly, horns glowing as they braced themselves against an expected assault, only to relax slightly when they saw her.
What news is there on the princess?
We can't comment on that. Sorry, Miss Sparkle.
She snorted in irritation, marching forward determinedly.
I'm going to check on her.
She made a step before stopping as a set of crossed spears suddenly blocked her path.
Princess Luna ordered no admittance. I'm sorry, Miss Sparkle, but there were no exceptions made.
But...
You can wait in the hallway if you like, but we can't allow you in by order of Princess Luna.
Twilight wanted to argue, but she sensed that the guards wouldn't be any more sympathetic, no matter how she begged, argued, or shouted. Fuming, she slumped to her haunches in the hallway. Now that she'd stopped moving, her emotions caught up with her, churning in her gut and making her feel sick. The images kept flashing through her memory. The horrifying view of the black tide, the hope when Celestia's power had flashed a large section of the tide to ashes, and then the dimming of Celestia's light as she screamed from the tide's counterattack before dropping to the wooden platform. She couldn't stop herself from replaying the events over and over in her head, wondering if there had been something she could have done, some action that would have protected the princess. She should have offered to attack the tide first. She should have taken the risk before she allowed the princess to. Granted, she never could have done a similar amount of damage to it, but still. Unbidden, a new memory surfaced. The memory of a pair of green eyes, wide with shock and pain just before the second gateway had shut. Twilight's imagination flinched away from the memory, and she groaned. She tried telling herself that nothing she'd said had been untrue. Perhaps it was unfair that she took it all out on Aaron. But it was justified, wasn't it? If the humans hadn't come here, Celestia wouldn't be hurt, and Twilight wouldn't have had to see her get hurt. She sighed, angry with herself now as well. She needed time to figure this out. But she didn't feel like she could even get a handle on it until she found out if Celestia was going to be all right or not. Frustrated, she tried to push all of the other thoughts out of her head, resigning herself to just staring at the opposite wall. Time passed with agonizing slowness until she heard hoofsteps approaching. She shot up just as Celestia's door opened, Luna stepping out into the hallway. The Princess of the Night looked startled to see her there, but turned first to the guards as she gently shut the door with her magic.
She she is to rest, undisturbed by any pony. If any pony should ask as to her condition, simply state that she will be well with some rest, and that she is not to be disturbed for any reason. You may tell any pony who threatens to disturb my sister's rest that they shall be arrested if they do not move on.
Yes, Princess.
The guards saluted. Luna turned to regard Twilight with an unreadable expression.
Will she really be okay, Princess?
Twilight Sparkle, I'm glad to see you. Come, walk with me.
The princess turned to walk down the corridor, and Twilight hurried to keep up. Unlike Celestia, who usually matched her pace to the shorter-limbed ponies, Luna walked at her normal pace down the hall. Twilight had to trot at her side to keep up. Something about Luna's demeanor told Twilight that she should remain silent until the princess indicated that it was all right to talk again. Quickly, they reached Luna's private chambers. The guards outside her doorway saluted as they entered, and Twilight felt a vague curiosity rekindle as they walked inside. She'd never been in Luna's private rooms before. She was surprised to see that the decor was much brighter than she'd expected, with the high ceiling painted a sky blue. Across the ceiling, on tracks so cunningly devised that they were nearly hidden, false clouds skittered by, and a large golden sun tracked a path across the sky.
Clockwork, devised centuries ago by a rather cunning earth pony machinist during our banishment. I knew I wanted these rooms as soon as I saw it.
I expected your rooms to be more night-themed, Princess.
Why? I see the night sky every night. This reminds me of Celestia, which is why I moved into this suite.
Luna gestured towards a sky blue sofa, indicating that she should sit down. Twilight did so, feeling like an intruder in spite of the invitation. Luna walked towards a small counter on the wall, her horn glowing. A tea kettle levitated up and over to a tap, which began filling the kettle.
Yes, she will be fine. Her magic, body, and mind are exhausted, but she shall recover given time. But as she is currently unable to tell me what happened on Earth, I must now ask you. Tell me.
Did we lose Cinder?
Oh, I'm sorry, could you not hear me?
Yeah, the last part of the line got cut out.
Start at tell me.
Oh boy.
Hmm.
Tell me, in as much detail as you can, what transpired when you went against the Black Tide?
Twilight let out a pent-up sigh of relief. She felt a great deal of her stress and worry melt away at the news that Celestia would recover. What had happened was still horrible, but not unrecoverable. Luna didn't bother putting the kettle on a stove. Instead, she simply heated the water with magic. Within seconds, the kettle began whistling, and Luna took a silver tea service and several types of biscuits from the counter and brought them to the low table near the sofa Twilight was sitting uncomfortably on. She cringed as Luna began pouring her tea for her. It wasn't right for the princess to serve her tea. It should be the other way around. But Twilight was too uncomfortable to say anything, so she awkwardly took the cup that Luna gave her, using her own magic to float a couple of sugar cubes into her tea. She took a sip while organizing her thoughts, flinching at the scalding heat. Luna looked anxious.
Is it not to your liking?
Twilight shook her head.
It's not that. It's just too hot right now.
Luna looked relieved, and Twilight put the cup and saucer back on the table for the moment. Then, gathering herself, she related the day's events to Luna. The Night Princess listened intently, occasionally interrupting with questions or asking that Twilight skip certain parts that she wasn't interested in. She didn't care about the humans' anti-tide efforts. She only wanted to hear what the ponies had done and what had happened to her sister. When Twilight finished, she tried her tea again. Still hot, but not scalding anymore. It was actually a very nice chamomile tea, very soothing and relaxing. Twilight sampled a cookie while Luna gazed into the distance, her teal eyes focused on nothing in particular.
And you felt nothing yourself?
No, princess.
That had actually been the most terrible part of the whole ordeal, knowing that Celestia was being attacked, but not from where or how, and not knowing how to help her mentor.
Well, we shall have to discontinue any efforts to directly combat the tide.
I'm glad.
She was sure she'd be having nightmares about that thing for weeks, at least. She could still smell the chemicals from the toxic mud in her coat, and suddenly longed for a shower.
'Tis a pity, though. It sounds like we might have made some definite progress against it before this counter-assault.
Yes, Princess Celestia managed to destroy a large portion of it before whatever happened.
How large?
Well, of the nano ring, I think she destroyed about a mile or two in either direction at least. For the tide itself, perhaps a semicircle of about a mile radius. Barely anything compared to the entirety of the thing, but better than the humans have done so far.
A pity. I am wondering, is something else on your mind?
Twilight blinked in surprise. She hadn't thought she was that transparent.
Well, Princess, I think I may have done something bad.
Please, explain.
I was upset. Erin came through the gate and I told her, well, I told her that it was the humans' fault for coming here, and that I wished she'd never come to Equestria. And then I pulled the emitters apart, causing the gateway to disappear.
Luna looked disturbed by the admission.
Surprising. And disappointing as well.
Twilight flinched at the statement.
You are not my student, Twilight Sparkle, but in this, I ask that you allow me to instruct you. Celestia neither asked for nor required permission from Erin in order to undertake this action. She knew that there would be dangers, and she chose to take the risk in any case. The consequences of her actions are hers alone, and it is not for you, nor any pony else, to ascribe the responsibility for those actions or the results thereof to any pony else. Doing so suggests that Celestia isn't wise enough to make her own decisions, or strong enough to bear the outcome of her own actions. You belittle her by behaving in such a fashion.
I know that. I was just so angry and upset.
Even more disappointing, then. You are an extremely potent magician, Twilight Sparkle. You are also the element of magic. And one such as you cannot allow emotion to sway your judgment in such a fashion. I am not telling you that you are not allowed to feel emotion, of course, as suppression can be even worse than expression. However, it is vital that ponies such as ourselves, who have power above the average pony, exercise restraint in our actions consummate to the extent of our powers. Not doing so can only lead to tragedy, as Equestria discovered 1,000 years ago. Believe me, Twilight Sparkle, I know what I am speaking of.
Yes, Princess Luna.
She felt shame down to her hoof tips. Luna sighed again and lifted herself off of her couch, levitating the cups and kettle behind her.
I need to make some arrangements. Celestia's absence will complicate things for a while. You, on the other half, should go see your friends. Tell them, and any pony who asks, that Celestia shall make a full recovery shortly.
Once again, Twilight found herself cringing, this time in anticipation for the tongue lashing she was sure to get when she met up with her friends.
Yes, Princess.
She stood up off the couch, walking morosely towards the door and letting herself out. Nothing for it but to get this over with, she decided, and set off to find the others. Twilight found her friends in their shared dining area, though they weren't eating. She interrupted a conversation as she opened the door, all of them looking at her as she walked in, head down. She noted that they all seemed to have showered recently, and decided that they probably wouldn't give her a chance to do so herself before either Applejack or Rainbow Dash started grilling her. It turns out that she was almost right. Applejack opened her mouth as soon as she walked in the door, but Rarity got there first.
Before any pony asks you whatever it is that you could have possibly been thinking when you said those dreadful things to Erin before stranding her on Earth, I believe we would like to know if Princess Celestia will fully recover or not.
Oh, yes, she'll be fine. She just needs rest, according to Luna.
Why, that's wonderful news!
Rarity beamed, then the expression vanished from her face.
Applejack, you're up.
Applejack jumped to her hooves and stalked towards her.
Just what in the hay were you thinking, girl? Do you have any idea what it is you've done?
I'm sorry. I was upset, okay? I wasn't thinking clearly.
You weren't thinking clearly? You weren't thinking clearly. When you told Erin that you wish she had never come here? When you left a good friend of ours standing right next to a horrific monstrosity that managed to knock Princess Celestia for a loop? Is that what you're saying? That all happened because you just weren't thinking clearly?
Applejack was nose to nose with her right now. In spite of her guilt, Twilight started feeling angry. It didn't help that she had somehow forgotten about Erin's proximity to the tide when she destroyed the gateway. The extra guilt helped to fuel her anger.
That's right. I made a mistake. I was so mad that the princess got hurt that I couldn't do anything to stop it that I lashed out at Erin.
She wiped a hoof across her eyes, clearing away the tears.
I know it was wrong, okay? I've had a lot of time to think about it, and I know how horrible it was that I did that, and I wanted to make up to her as soon as I can.
Do you now? Well, it's good I don't have to try and buck you any sense in that thick head of yours. Maybe you should, Applejack. She may be due for a good buck in the head anyway.
Her other friends either weren't looking at her or seemed to share AJ and Rainbow's opinions. Twilight was crying now, both angry and ashamed. She opened her mouth to retaliate and then remembered what Luna had said. She took several deep breaths until she felt in control of her voice.
I know what I did was wrong, and I'm sorry for what I did. And I'll tell that to Erin too, once I see her again. For now, I think I'd better go try and talk to Maggie and let her know what I did, and to see what we can do to get Erin back.
She turned to walk out of the door again, thinking regretfully of the shower she had to delay still further. But she knew this was the right course of action to take, and the only one that would allow her to start trying to make things right. Applejack's hoof on her shoulder stopped her. She looked back at the farm mare, annoyed, and also a little scared that AJ might try to deck her. but she saw her friend smiling at her instead.
Now that's the right thing to do there. And if you like, I'll come along too. Me too.
Me three.
I'll be there in spirit.
And I'll stay with Fluttershy again. Honestly, darling, the humans won't hurt you, and I'd like to see the Earth one day.
I'll be okay here alone, Rarity.
You sure?
Absolutely.
Very well then, I'm coming too.
The 5 friends, 6 if you count Fluttershy's spirit, set off to the gateway to the harmonics lab.
By the way, Twilight, don't take this the wrong way, but you're really stinky right now.
Maggie watched the 5 ponies walk away, sighing to herself. It hadn't been a good day. Twilight's shamefaced admission to destroying the harmonics emitters hadn't been needed, as she'd already received reports about it from her technicians. What she hadn't known was that Aaron was stuck on the other side when the gate went down. She'd received orders from on high that everyone was supposed to act as if Aaron was an equestrian native who'd gotten stuck on the wrong side of a malfunctioning gateway. They weren't quite ready to announce to the world yet that the Ascent program could resculpt a person's body. She'd made the call to the local commander of the base near where Aaron was stranded, letting him know that a pony had ended up on Earth and to please see to her comfort. She'd been assured by her superiors that the wheels were already in motion to get Aaron back to Colorado. The ambassadorial staff was in a tizzy, trying to head off what they were sure was going to be a major international incident with Celestia's injury. They'd offered the best medical doctors that Earth had to offer. They were thanked kindly, but their offers were universally declined. The ponies assured them that their princess would recover fully, given time. Maggie sure hoped so. She'd seen the footage, and it had been damned impressive. If that's what the princesses were capable of at half power, working with stored magic and a torque, then she was intensely curious what they would be like on their home turf. Probably like nothing they'd ever seen before. She hoped that Aaron would be all right. Being stranded as a pony on Earth had to be an uncomfortable experience.
You're okay, Pony?
Aaron had nodded, and the soldier radioed in to the nearby base, talking rapidly in Hindi and then again in English. Fairly quickly, a truck had returned and brought her back to the nearby base, where she was thrown into the tent of the CO. He'd welcomed her to Earth on behalf of the human race and offered to try and find some hay for her if she was hungry. Aaron declined politely. The emitters, she'd found out an hour later, were completely beyond any repair whatsoever. The scientists, all from the harmonics lab, had known who she was, but orders called in from on high told everyone to keep their mouths shut. As far as anyone on Earth was to know, Aaron was actually a pony from Equestria who'd accidentally gotten stranded on Earth. She had no idea why that was, but she was glad now that she hadn't corrected the CO's misunderstanding. The story was that she was going to be sent home via the other, still functional gateway in Colorado, half a world away. In the meanwhile, it was tricky dealing with all the eager soldiers and support staff, some of whom barely spoke English or didn't speak it at all, who wanted to come up and ask her questions or simply gawk at her. She was assigned a tent. She didn't leave it unless absolutely necessary, until the transport arrived to bring her to the airstrip on the second day. The first plane was an army transport, full of curious troops on their way back from the front lines. They asked her questions, snapped pictures with their phones, and were, all in all, very excited to see her. Erin, naturally, found the attention to be uncomfortable, but reminded herself that she was the first equestrian representative that these people had seen, and did her best to smile and be pleasant. The first transport took her to another base, where she spent the night. Then another transport, this one empty of everything but some broken machinery, took her to a third base, where she was immediately shuffled onto a twin-engine Cessna, with a modified couch hastily bolted down in place of one of the passenger seats. The pilot of the Cessna was an independent contractor named Jacques, who peppered her with questions about Equestria and how the ponies viewed humanity. Erin, once again, found herself in the odd position of representing pony kind to humanity, answering the questions as best she could. At the end of that flight, she found herself in an independent airport some distance away from Paris, France. There, she found a Learjet waiting for her. Once on board, she found another modified couch, this time with an actual seatbelt, bolted to the floor by one of the windows. To her surprise, she wasn't going to be the only passenger on this flight to New York. Several people in suits got on, both male and female, and Erin was discovered that they were security agents from the International Committee on Human Survival, assigned to see her safely through the rest of her trip. They peppered her with questions for nearly an hour before Erin, feigning yawns, pretended to nod off. After a short while, she was no longer feigning sleep, snoring gently on her couch. She would have been mortified to know that the general consensus from the humans looking at her went along the lines of, "Aww." She was groggy and disoriented when they finally landed in a backwater airport in the state of New York. Unfortunately, that made her not pay the attention she should have, and she veered off the preset path designated to keep her out of the public eye, and instead ventured into the public area of the airport. On the one hand, it was a good thing that it was such a remote airport, as there wasn't many people around. On the other, everyone who was there immediately swarmed her with their phones out, taking pictures and videos, shouting questions at her at the top of their lungs.
My name is Sunflower.
Erin maintained the ruse that she was a misplaced equestrian pony as she trotted quickly through the throng, the poor security staff designated to protect her doing their best to keep the crowd back, but failing miserably.
I lived in Ponyville for a while, but I recently moved to Canterlot. It's not a butt tattoo, it's a cutie mark. And no, we're not all named after them.
All the time in the air, unable to stretch her legs or go for a walk, was really starting to get to her. She could feel her nerves fraying and desperately hoped that she could keep it together until they got back onto the next plane. One of the agents, perhaps sensing her distress, spoke loudly.
Ma'am, we advise you to stop answering questions.
She gratefully took the agent's advice and shut her muzzle. She was finally ushered through an employee-only door, one of the guards standing in the doorway to block the path of the inquisitive people on the other side, while the others quickly escorted Erin to her next plane. It was another Cessna that would take them to Illinois, where they'd switch to yet another plane heading to Colorado. She was pretty much done with flying by the time they reached Illinois, and begged for a chance to stretch her legs. The security agents sighed, but finally relented. The airport they were in was yet another small independent airport with a large field on the other side of a high security fence. She was allowed to run around for a good half an hour before they called her back in. Erin's smile of satisfaction faltered a little as she saw the crowd of onlookers that had gathered by the gateway, phones out and presumably recording. It was when the news van arrived that the security folks seriously got worried, bundling her quickly back to the plane. Erin smiled uncomfortably at the cameras, but politely declined answering any more questions. Collapsing into her couch with a sigh, she closed her eyes, just wishing they'd hurry up and get her back to Equestria already. A middle-aged married couple in Cottage Grove, Minnesota, sat in matching recliners in front of their wall-mounted flat screen. The woman knitted, making a hat for her first grandson. The husband nursed a beer that his neighbor had brewed up, a stout he called Nasty Munchkin. It was decent, but he'd told the neighbor that it was fantastic, and so he'd ended up with a 12-pack of them. The news streamed on the television, displaying stories about Equestria, showing clips from the documentaries that had been released so far, and various reactions from around the world. Suddenly, an announcer popped up to declare that the footage of an actual equestrian pony on Earth had just shown up in the newsroom. Both husband and wife had their attention riveted to the screen as the badly focused and shaky footage displayed a small, light brown pony with an auburn mane being escorted by several security people. The pony was surrounded by people with cameras, all of whom seemed to be shouting questions at her. She answered a few questions, including giving her name as Sunflower. Then the footage abruptly ended as the pony got escorted through a doorway.
Oh, that's odd.
What is?
That pony sounded just like Aaron, don't you know?
Maggie led a pair of technicians through the hallways to the Ascent labs. She'd been asked to get the lab warmed up and ready for Herman and his team's arrival next week, and that meant bringing up a separate mainframe, making sure all the terminals worked, and to start the process to warm up what the Ascent crew called the goo baths, where humans went in and ponies came out. Or, once the team arrived, Aaron, the pony, would go in, and Aaron, the human, would come back out. Erin herself was due back in the compound tomorrow, having skipped from plane to plane in an attempt to get back to the States. Maggie punched in her code, and the door slid open quietly.
Here we go. Go ahead and start things. I'm sorry, what?
The lights were already on, and the terminals were all glowing. She felt a brief surge of annoyance. This whole lab was supposed to be mothballed when Herman and his team had left. No wonder the power supply to the rest of the compound had been so erratic if this lab had been running the whole time.
Well, I guess that makes our job easier. It'll take a lot less time to start things up now, right?
Ma'am?
Maggie sighed. She'd told everyone to use her first name, but they kept forgetting.
What is it?
Is this supposed to be like this?
She shook her head in annoyance and walked over.
Be a little more vague. I almost understood that.
She climbed up next to him, looking down into the tub full of nanomachines. There was a dark green haze floating over the top of it. Maggie wasn't certain what she was looking at first, but then it suddenly hit her.
Get out! Get out of the lab!
The second tech tried to bolt, only to have the door slam shut in his face. He stumbled backwards in shock.
Open it!
Maggie ran to the door and hit the button. Nothing happened, so she hit it again and again. She heard a yelp of surprise behind her and saw that the first tech had stumbled backwards from the tub and landed on his backside. Currently, he was crab walking backwards as fast as he could until he hit a desk behind him. Maggie returned her attention to the tub itself, watching in horrified fascination as a dark shape began to stand up, sheeting the gray nanomaterial off of it as it stood. A horn of emerald protruded from the top of the equine head, glowing green eyes flashing from its face. The coat was of a similar dark green in color, and the shadows that had hovered over the tub now made up the creature's mane and tail, billowing and flowing in an obscene parody of the equestrian princesses. In the near black mane, sickly green lights blinked and faded in and out, shifting constantly. Phase sprites, Maggie realized. Its mane is made of phase sprites. The gigantic beast stepped out of the tub, flaring the enormous wings at its sides. It shook itself slightly, and the rest of the gray nanomaterial fell away from it.
Ah, what a magnificent machine that is. And what a fine job it did for me, once I gave it the proper instruction.
The green alicorn turned to look at her, giving her a smile.
I apologize for the doorway. Couldn't have you folks running around all willy-nilly and raising a fuss, now could I?
He stepped forward, flexing his wings and looking back at his body in frank admiration.
Do you know that you humans have perfected the means of immortality that put my own to shame? I'm very impressed, quite honestly. And not just because I now inhabit perhaps the most powerful form ever seen. Ah, which reminds me.
The creature's horn glowed briefly. All around the room, terminals exploded in a shower of sparks. Maggie heard a thud and turned to see the mainframe, which controlled the nanomachines themselves, pouring smoke out of every vent.
And that should prevent anyone from copying or surpassing me. At least for a while.
What do you want from us?
She'd seen the tapes. She knew what this creature was. Or rather, what it had been, when it had possessed a terrified Aaron, running her almost to death through the forests of Equestria.
Nothing you won't willingly provide for me. First, though, I shall require some sustenance. I am terribly hungry.
Maggie felt the cold grip of terror as she remembered what phase sprites ate. Malachite saw the look on her face and laughed.
Have no fear, I don't mean to eat you. This body is designed to keep the face sprites happily fed, but it still needs food of its own. I could simply murder a bowl of pasta and a glass of wine right now.
And then he stepped forward, looking down at Maggie. She realized that Malachite was now perhaps a foot taller than Celestia, who she'd had the brief pleasure of meeting when she'd gone through the gateway a few days ago.
But then, it will be down to business. I wish to speak to your Robert Thompson, the one who's in charge of leading the resistance against the Black Tide. I have a proposal for him that he might find interesting.
Malachite smiled at her benevolently.
My dear, you're in luck. I have a plan to take care of this pesky black tide problem for you.
It's over.
Can I just say that the Minnesotan couple was fucking awesome?
I know, right?
Don't you know?
Also, after hearing that, I'm thinking that maybe Aaron should have been Minnesotan this whole time.
Right?
Yeah, but this chapter came so far after everything else.
She lives in Colorado. She lost her accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yes, those are Aaron's parents, and they will return.
Well, geez,
Good.
thanks for the spoilers.
Yay!
Oh.
Now we know.
Yay. I
Now we
wouldn't
know-
really call it.
Now we know who the first human deaths are going to be in the series.
Oh no!
Oh, shitty.
Don't you know?
That's fucking terrible.
Don't
Also-
you know?
Also, Nasty Munchkin. How's that for a beer name?
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not Minnesotan, so
It's sure
That's
something.
like a perfect beer name.
I mean, I've only been to Minnesota once, and my experience in Minnesota was literally stay in one hotel and don't leave. And then I went to a British pub.
From what I know of homebrewers, yeah, that's a fine name.
Yeah.
Can I just say that we did a fucking great job at this, by the way? There was a lot
was
of, there was a
awesome.
lot of good moments in this one.
Yes.
I'm a good moment.
Yep, a little nod to the author, Hoopy McGee, a nod to me for making it so clean for script reading purposes, and a little nod to everyone here for just doing so well.
And Sora's shout out, because she had to duck out early for reasons, was
Life.
that we are all
Yay.
awesome. So yes,
Wait, is Sora naughty?
everyone is awesome.
Everyone is cool when we're on the stream.
Oh my god. And here we have Kermit to sing us out.
When I'm through with you,
Shut up,
I'll
shut up.
never find
Well,
your
everyone,
body.
this is Kermit the Frog. That's the kind of thing that makes you feel mad.
Even you, Billy.
I'm gonna tell your mommy.
Oh, Skybolt
As long
gets me.
as you don't cast the greatest spell, I'm okay.
This is not the greatest spell in the world.
It's the greatest song in the world.
This is just a tribute. You gotta believe me.
So is is this the greatest show?
Hold on, I have to address Toa in the chat. I am not anywhere near Minnesota. The accent isn't quite there. Minnesota has a...
Actually, the closest person to Minnesota out of anyone here is Skyrays.
Yeah.
Good.
Unless you
So
count...
Sky's got the voice then.
No,
Or-
unless you count Commander something, since he's here in spirit. Shout out to Commander something. I know he hates that.
Or I guess or I guess the discount Minnesotan, we have Canadian.
Quiet, eh? I'm the worst Canadian in the world. Don't even get me started.
The funny part is I'm a better Canadian than her. Like, I got all of her Canadian.
So
It's
the
are
only
you even?
the only Canadian that's left over is the way that I say vague. Also,
Are you
Voss.
even Canadian?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed you Canadian when I first heard the original upheaval episodes. Also, I wouldn't have guessed Canadian.
I mean, I've been to Canada once, but I didn't talk with anybody.
Canada. Yeah, I went to Canada once to oh fuck, where is it? It's the middle one, right above Minnesota. Winnipeg, yeah. Because
Winnipeg is-
my grandmother's from Fargo.
So that would be Manitoba.
Manitoba. Yeah, I remember that. It was very nice entranceway.
Welcome to
It's so great
Manitoba.
'cause they have
We're
a mint.
sorry.
So does that mean Saskatchewan is next to Manitoba, right?
Yeah, I think Saskatchewan's to the right.
Yep, and then you have British
Alberta?
Columbia. To the north, you have the northwestern provinces, and then Nunavut.
You missed a
Way
few.
off east, you have like the islands in Newfoundland, Prince
More
Edward
like
Island.
Japan.
So west of Manitoba is Saskatchewan. West of Saskatchewan is Alberta. West of Alberta is British Columbia.
Alberta, that's what I was forgetting.
And west
Canada's
of
fucking
British
big.
Columbia is Vancouver Island.
That's still part of British Columbia.
Yeah.
But am I not wrong in the fact that it is west of?
Yeah, it's the most western. I lived there. I lived in the most western place in Canada. I've lived in almost the most eastern place in mainland Canada. And I've lived in the middle. And then I lived in Washington, D.C. And now I live in Colorado. And Colorado's better than all of it. So every other
Oh, it
state can
is.
fucking suck it.
I didn't
Forgot
think
about
you.
West Virginia, didn't you?
I didn't think.
West Virginia.
Heaven.
I didn't think you hated Nebraska all that bad. You just couldn't find a job in the field you wanted here.
Yeah, also it's flat and boring.
Nebraska is like one giant cornfield.
That's Iowa.
Yeah,
No, we have-
Nebraska.
No, Iowa has pigs. Pigs.
No,
in
no,
corn.
the east,
We have
the eastern
Idaho.
part of Nebraska is one giant cornfield. The western half of Nebraska is one giant pasture. Get it right.
And bear in mind, there are two little specks that are different that are outside. One speck in eastern Nebraska has a railroad center, and the other speck has a football stadium.
He's about right. They're all right. They're all right.
Yeah. I like how he didn't point out Omaha. He pointed out North Platte and Lincoln.
I thought
because
Omaha was the place that had all
Omaha's
the
just
railroad.
fucking Iowa because us real
Omaha's
Nebraskans
where
don't. Us real
Omaha's where
Nebraskans
the,
don't even recognize it as
railroad.
part of Nebraska. We willingly give it over to Iowa.
Hold
Omaha
on.
has the Orpheum Theater and the gangs.
Yeah.
Hold on. Stop. Omaha's got like one of the top 10 best rated zoos. Lincoln's got the third largest city on a Saturday. And then there's North Platte, which is in the middle of a pasture.
Not
In
quite.
Colorado, we're high.
And it's where
high,
Warren
man.
Buffett. It's where Warren Buffett lives.
Actually, you're not wrong that North Platte's in the middle of a pasture, but everyone that comes here, it's hilarious. Everyone that comes here just like, this is a lot bigger than I'd imagined it had been.
Yeah, because I imagined you in a fucking farmhouse in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, me too.
Because that's where my
'cause-
friggin' grandparents lived.
Because Sky Race came here and he's just like, I thought that you lived in like a town of like 20.
Yeah, right? That's exactly
Because
what I
he
was
thought
expecting.
I lived in Hershey, which is where the ranch is.
Yeah. Yeah, the ranch is basically what I imagined.
When you first showed me a photo of your house, I was not expecting you in town. We'll just go with that.
Yeah, I've actually lived in town all my life.
You
I was-
fucking city slicker.
I was expecting you to have a little something off the beaten path for a second there.
Oh, I wish I did. I really wish I did. Nope.
So, is this the most Nebraskans we have, like, on any Brony show ever?
Probably.
Yeah.
I think it's just the most.
Oh wait, no,
Nebraskans
we're missing.
up.
We're missing
They
Orange.
don't know what the internet
No.
is.
No, this is the most Nebraskans period.
No,
Yeah.
no, because Orange has made an appearance on the stream, and Tyler's made an appearance.
So, we need all three of you to come back. Well, obviously, Winchester's going to be here, but I need all three of you to come back. And then add Orange Shirt Guy to it, and then add Variety.
Yeah.
And then we'll have the most Nebraskans ever on any Brony show ever, never to be beat.
Winchester, you know who we should have tried to persuade to get on this
No.
to do the
No.
Hindu
No.
voice?
Oh wait, the Hindu?
Yes.
Who for
Hindi
the
voice, whatever.
Who for the Hindu? Because I'm thinking of somebody that you would be wanting to bring on this show that I'm thinking no.
I was saying Skies because have you ever heard him answer the phone before?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, he can come
When
on.
he does- when he
so
does
so
tech
so
support?
what we're going to do what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the entirety of the Nebraska-based Tesla team. We're going to get the entirety of North Platte, i.e., me, Orange Shirt Guy, and I mean Tyler's not gonna show. But me and Orange Shirt Guy, and and then I'll reach out to Variety and see if he's interested in popping on and doing like a sponsor spot or something. I have to talk to him anyways because he has guitar parts of mine that I need to get back.
Winchester, you ate all the curry? There's none left for everyone else.
Bye, Cinder.
Bye, Cinder. Do your shout outs.
Bye, Cinder.
Bye. You guys are awesome.
Bye.
You guys are awesome. You'll be spared from the purge. Bye.
Yay.
She doesn't mean me.
You're still locked in the
Forrest,
closet.
I have more
Wait, who are you
plans for
purging?
you.
Don't worry, I got a ticket already.
Actually, I did see a funny one. It was 2 pictures, and on the left side it had Apocalypse in the movies, and it was all like Mad Max with skulls and guns and stuff. And then it goes Apocalypse in real life, and it was a fat guy on a couch with a TV remote. It's like, yeah.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Sounds about right.
True.
What did I miss? Oh, I'm not muted.
Absolutely nothing. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, basically.
night.
Yeah. So I hope that you all enjoyed. We'll get to shout outs. So we'll start with Lycan.
Well, let's see. I had to be the secret agent, so I can neither confirm nor deny that I was on the stream.
Yes, Pinky, we know you're a secret agent.
Dun,
I
dun,
have
dun,
my
dun.
Who is Pinkie Pie?
It's because I hid some hair behind the bed. It's my secret stash.
That oh god. Yeah, who is Pinkie Pie sounds like a start of a documentary.
I think that's actually the name
Yeah,
of
no, it totally does.
Wait, hold
Alrighty. And next up, shout outs for Skybolt.
Hey. Shout out to the stream for having me on again. This is a fun time. Always great to be here.
Well, you could be on more if you didn't have things going on Wednesday evenings.
I forgot there was a regular schedule.
Stop having life happen. It's
That-
evil.
Yes. No, this is about the relative time of day and the day of the week are about the only thing that's scheduled on this stream.
Fantastic.
So, yes. I've tried scheduling things before and it doesn't work because 9 times out of 10, if they aren't all forced to stay home due to viruses, normally 90% of the voice cast can't make it due to work.
Yeah.
Normally our narrators. So, yes. So, in a way, it kind of helped this stream. So, anyways, next up, on to Ocean Breeze.
I don't know. Shout out to my cat for being cuddly and deviled eggs for being good.
I'll second the second one. I can't
I
speak for
made
your
some
cat.
raps last night. My cat's cuddly.
Cats
You've
are
seen pictures
awesome.
of my cat.
Oh, I hate my cat.
You've seen pictures of mine.
You say that, but you really don't.
Okay, the thing is, once I no longer have a cat anymore, I am not going to get another cat.
Well, yeah. Nobody's ever gonna get another cat. Come on.
just due to the fact that I really don't like having a cat around for many reasons.
Oh, why not? You'd not feel on it?
That was a good one.
You gotta be kidding me.
Alrighty, and next
Alright.
on to Double R.
Shout out to the author Hoopy McGee, who, while I was wrong about it being who is Pinkie Pie, he does have another popular story called Why Am I Pinkie Pie? So maybe that'd be worth something. And also, shout-outs to my forbidden knowledge of film fiction, which is deemed too dark and twisted for even the chat.
Yes.
It's too powerful.
And speaking of dark and twisted, what's Skyrays, your shout-outs. All right. And now on to explosions and fun. We have CMC.
I'm confused at Sky Rays there, but yes, fires, explosions, LOE, Rowan, Venison Jerky, y'all know my shtick.
Yeah, Skywars is muted.
Yeah, I think Sky Rays broke. So we're just gonna have to give shoutouts to Commander something.
Ah, there we go. Now I'm not the one to say, you can't say anything, Commander.
I blame
Not
Sky
my
Rays.
fault. Not my fault.
Alrighty. And yes, thank you all for showing up. I am extremely appreciative of everybody that decides to show up.
I don't get a shout out this week.
What?
I said I don't get a shout out this week.
Oh, I thought I did.
You missed-
Sorry.
No.
Shout
Why am I
out
not
for Strain.
surprised
Do
that
your
America
shout out.
forgot the
You
Canadian?
can have mine.
I even have something lined up for him.
Here, have my shout out. Have the best shout out. Have the last shout out.
All right, so for Winchester's shout out, last week I did a shout out to a wandering artist, otherwise known as John Doe, who does the music for Ponytown. And in the time between last week's episode and this week's episode, he came out with a thing that says that he's doing a live piano recital on the 20th. So next Monday, 4 days. And you guys can see it at this link, which I put into the thing.
And
I also put into
into
this thing.
the lounge chat in general, so that others can know about it.
Lounge. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to that because I'm a huge fan of his piano works, and it's a pretty cool thing, even though it's like super niche and super nerdy.
Alrighty. And the sad thing is, I have a can of that chunky clam chowder in my
no.
in my cupboard. So, anyways, without further ado, thank you all for showing up. It's been fun. And yes, everybody say goodbye.
Hello.
I can't believe that I thought it'd be easy. Well, I guess that no one's perfect. I was deceived by a thing we call dreaming, cause I thought I couldn't hurt it. Now look at me, it's so easy to see something's hiding what I asked for. It's been years now, and I'm still seeking it out. Maybe I'm only a star on my own cloud above. Maybe it's okay, or maybe I'm insane. Maybe it's meant to be so tough. Whoa. Maybe all I need is love. Once again I can feel myself fading. But I see a new life being colored in. I can tell that my heart is done aching, but I wonder if I've gained another skin. I can't stop this transformation, and odd sensations taking me for a ride, all the way back through my mind. Maybe I'm only stuck on my own cloud above. Maybe it's okay, or maybe I'm insane. Maybe it's meant to be so tough. Whoa. Or maybe all I need is love. Ooh, yeah. Whoa. Ooh, all I need is love. Oh, yeah. Oh, all I need is love. Maybe I'm only stuck on my own cloud above. Maybe it's okay, or maybe I'm insane. Maybe it's meant to be so tough. Whoa. Or maybe all I need is love.
Thank you all for showing up. It's been fun. I know I had fun. I hope you guys did too. And we will see you next week. This is Winchester 572 going 10-7. I'm out. Bye-bye.